Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Danganronpa. Let's continue. So we're in the middle of this trial and we are now debating about whether Chihiro was murdered in the boys' locker room and then moved to the girls' locker room or just murdered in the girls' locker room. We still really aren't seeing a lot of reason to suspect pretty much anybody other than Byakuya or Toko, or more accurately, Genocide Jack. There's Joe. There's a whole bunch of revelations that have come about so far about people and the method of how Chihiro might have been killed, but very little as to who, which seems a little odd, but we'll just have to move forward. As the school states, loaning your handbook is prohibited, but borrowing one isn't. But the way I think we had pretty much figured this out, that the e-handbooks, the broken one here was Leon's. So there was no male e-handbook that you could have borrowed to get into the men's locker room, the boys' locker room. Should we call them boys or men? I guess they're calling them boys, but high school students, young men might be more accurate, but in Japanese I imagine there's a big difference there. If I recall correctly, in Japanese, there's kind of like a cutesy, I'm under 10 years old way of referring to yourself, but after that, I don't know if there's a real way to say I'm a man or call somebody a boy or a man easily in Japanese. You have more relative references where you could call somebody younger than you or older than you. Well, there might be some ways, but I don't fully understand them.
In other words, you could borrow a dead person's handbook all you want, and you'd be safe.
Let's continue with the story. I don't even have to talk too much because it's all voice, which is great.
Hit the nail square on the noggin.
Of course, if it were broken, that wouldn't make any sense anyway.
So then, she must have hacked us, like I said. She used her ultimate programmer skills and...
Psst. You can't fix an e-handbook. The instant you open one up, a security buzzer starts blaring.
Okay.
So, if she didn't use Leon's handbook, and she didn't modify her own handbook...
Okay.
Maybe Mr. Naegi's initial assumption is just wrong?
It seems like there's no way she could have got into the boys' locker room. So I guess so.
Okay then, I vote for Byakuya.
Well, this would be funny if this is just how this goes and everybody votes for Byakuya. ... Is that then? Chihiro was killed in the girls' locker room, and Byakuya was the one who did it, really? But still, I don't know what else I can do.
Hold on a second.
So now we need Kyoko to come help us again.
I agree with you, though. I think you're on the right track.
What the? You finally decide to open your mouth and that's what you've got to say? There's no way she could get in the boys' locker room, right? So...
Why are you so sure she couldn't get in? There's still one other way she could have gained access.
One other way. She could have gone into the pool and come in through the other door.
What? What are you talking about? What other way is there?
Well, to explain that, why don't we take a little break from the trial? I'd like you all to come see something.
Can we take breaks? When did Monokuma say we could take a break?
Wait. Just what do you think you're doing?
Don't worry. This'll make the whole trial more exciting. I'm sure that thought must please you.
Huh? It'll make things more exciting?
So she can convince Monokuma to take a break.
Right then. I declare an official class trial recess.
For real?
Yeah, it feels like that is helpful, frankly, to break apart these class trials into multiple sections.
Now then, what is it you want to show us? It better not be boring or I'll be very unhappy.
Oh, I have no doubt it'll meet your lofty expectations. So, shall we go?
Alright, so we're just taking a full-on break. So before I even knew what was happening, the class trial had been put on hold, and we headed off to with Kyoko in the lead, and where she took us was. So they skipped the whole elevator ride. They skipped us walking anywhere.
Girls' locker room?
So we're back to the girls' locker room.
We've already searched this place top to bottom. What are you trying to pull, Missy?
Missy, that's a funny word to use.
I'd like you to examine the victim's body one more time.
Want to check it again?
Be sure to examine the entire body very carefully. Take your time.
Very carefully.
Examine her carefully? Like using our hands?
So basically, nobody was willing to touch the dead body or even get close to her.
No way, no way, no way, no way, no way!
It's probably best if I don't run my hands all over a girl's dead body.
It's not that I'm creeped out or anything, it's just based on religious grounds, you know?
So everyone's chickening out,
Very
obviously.
well. I'll do it.
So Sakura offers.
But you're a girl. You shouldn't have to touch a dead body. Just let one of the boys do it.
And so, like, even the girls are not willing to touch the dead body.
No, it's okay. I think Chihiro would rather have a girl examine her. So just leave this to me. Questioning,
though, why Toko and Sakura aren't, I mean, not Sakura, but Byakuya and Toko aren't in the room, because I feel like Byakuya would have no problem examining the bottom more thoroughly, but nobody would really trust him. And Toko, as Genocide Jill, would have no problem examining the body, although nobody would really trust her, so I don't know where those two went.
What is this? Some kind of secret girl-on-girl action? Is that what you two are about?
Well, there she is, so, and she's, yeah, talking about girl-on-girl action. Commonly known in Japanese as Yuri, Y-U-R-I.
That's not it at all. Stop screwing around.
Okay, here I go. I'm sorry, Chihiro. Please excuse the intrusion.
And it's very weird to hear Sakura's different voice actor talking. I feel like it's a different voice actor, but maybe it isn't. Maybe there just isn't actual voice acting of Sakura that much outside of the trials, and I've just made up in my head that there are two different voice actors. Put your hands together in a brief prayer. Sakura began to quietly examine her body.
Be sure to check her entire body, and I believe we will solve this particular mystery.
Why doesn't Kyoko do it if she's telling her to do it?
Entire body? I know you say that, but... What? This is... What is this?
Okay. Like, this is another great point where I feel like pausing is weird. Here you have a custom, like, animation for Sakura.
What is it? Not possible. It's not possible.
Sakura's eyes were staring wildly at Chihiro's lifeless form. Her massive frame trembled.
This girl is
Is what?
a boy.
Okay, so remember I have to confess I've already seen this, so I knew this was the case, but I still don't remember for 100% certainty who did it. This answers a lot of things. And here you can have Sakura with her muscly chest just to double check that she's a girl. So Sakura is a muscly masculine girl, and Chihiro, who looked small and feminine, was actually a boy. That certainly explains why she wouldn't want to have worked out with any of the other girls, because she was definitely afraid for them to see her changing between workout gear and her usual clothes. It also explains why Chihiro was so shy around all the girls, but was willing to hang out with the boys. it almost is kind of sexist, but it also kind of explains her being a programmer, so him being a programmer. Now, I do want to say, you don't have to rewind all of my episodes to go back. I've been following this since the beginning. Chihiro has been referred to as a girl by Monokuma and every other person. Nobody has slipped up that I've caught. So, there's none of that. There's probably a huge amount of shame as far as cross-dressing, which is what Chihiro was doing, certainly. And in Japan, that it's worse than just coming out and saying you were gay, or anything else pretty much you can announce. There is also, I suppose we could question maybe if Chihiro was transgendered, or was going to eventually decide or realize that they were transgendered. We're just not going to get that far into the story. So for this point, I would say crossdresser, probably would be transgendered, because I imagine Chihiro did feel that like she was a girl. But also, this is just another element that is being added to, because they painted themselves into a corner and wanted to have a crazy reveal for this murder mystery. It doesn't work particularly well as far as with the overall story, or make the overall story more interesting. And unfortunately, you're kind of going to run into that problem always, because if you're revealing things about people that are interesting after you've killed the character off, well, character development after a character dies is usually pretty useless. We can also go to the report cards, and we'll just quickly point out that none of these did say gender, but Makoto has probably one of the smallest chests for the measurements of the males at 29 inches. Ifune is the biggest chest by far. And then you start to see Sakura had 33, 32, 35, 31. And Toko's pretty flat-chested, at least the way she's depicted at 31. Sakura is 51. Celeste is 51. Junko is 31. But Chihiro was 28. So her chest was even smaller in measurement than Makoto's. And seemingly, one would assume that had I even been able to hang out with Chihiro from the very beginning of the game, I still probably wouldn't have gotten enough information about her to potentially make it so she would have come out and admitted that she was she was born a male. But yeah, I think transgender probably is the right thing to use as a phrase here, more than even crossdresser, because it's more typical that crossdressers spend some time in one gender's clothing and some time in the other gender's clothing. And they used to use the phrase transvestites for people that would cross-dress for sexual pleasure, but they've pretty much not used that because transgender kind of became interchangeable with transvestite, or vice versa. Transvestite got replaced with transgender, but I think transgender means something different too, so it was kind of a partial rebranding or partial making of a better explanation in general. Is there anything else to cover here? No, I don't think so. So let's just move the story forward.
Ah, I see. So she was actually
Interesting. Isn't Hifumi gonna freak out? Yep.
You're joking, right?
I wouldn't joke about this.
It's really true?
There is a danger for working out alone. You should always have a spotter. Like there is a danger of potentially killing yourself if you're working out alone.
Chihiro was a guy?
Oh, what? You guys didn't know? Heck, I knew that right off the bat.
But he was lying about it when he called her.
Chihiro Fujisaki was totally a guy.
Usually in Japanese stories like this, you have an effeminate looking male or a masculine looking female that just is kind of doing the weird anime fashion style, and they don't particularly actively go out of their way to look like the other gender. They just let other people make assumptions without saying anything whatsoever. Whereas in this case, it definitely feels like Chihiro was actively trying to pass as a girl and hiding it. And almost certainly that was her embarrassing reveal.
He was a cross-dresser? Oh, was really on fire! I wish I had killed him!
Yep, now that he's a guy, Genocide Jill would have killed him.
So that's what Kyoko wanted to show everyone, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, where's Byakuya? Is he in the room?
Yes, that certainly does make things much more exciting. Now let's ride this wave of excitement back to the courtroom and get back to the trial.
It feels like it would have been just smarter if he could either teleport people or just project holograms in the classroom.
Then, let's
Like,
resume the
that would
class
explain a lot
trial.
of things, actually.
We've all just learned of the shocking revelation that Chihiro was actually a boy. Let's pick up from there.
Otherwise, that whole scene was kind of unnecessary to happen there, but it was a good little break, intermission section. Also, you could have just had it be admitted.
Yes, well, I don't know his reason for hiding it, but the fact is, Chihiro was not a girl, but a boy.
And the Japanese certainly not up with being woke, so particularly when this game was made, so there's not going to be any case here where they're going to have a hesitation of misgendering or dead naming the character. Dead naming being referring to Chihiro by whatever her male name would have been if she even had one. To think that Chihiro was actually a guy, the thought had never even crossed my mind. Does it really affect how anybody should think about or should have interacted with Chihiro? Not much. Like, I don't think anybody is really trying to hit on or date any of the other characters besides Toko trying to date Byakuya
And
anyways.
because the victim was male, he would have had no problem gaining access to the boys' locker room.
This does flip the switch now because it implies that it has to have been pretty much a male who killed Chihiro. Yeah, I don't see how a female could get in the boys' locker room now.
Assuming his handbook did, in fact, list his gender as male, then yes, that would be true.
Of course his handbook said he was a boy. He dressed like a girl, but he was a boy through and through.
So apparently the handbook does say genders, you just can't see it when you bring up the screen, or you can't see the genders of other characters.
So then, there should be no issue with Makoto's initial assertion. The victim was killed in the boys' locker room, and was then later moved to the girls' locker room.
Still not sure why.
And the killer could have easily used Sayaka or Junko's handbook to get into the girls' locker room.
Yes, that's definitely true.
So Chihiro really was killed in the boys' locker room?
I still don't understand the motive for moving the body, but yes, that does seem plausible.
It's not like you're gaining an alibi by moving the body.
Well, I must admit, I did find it rather odd. I knew he felt a little off. There was a certain incongruity to his female body.
Byakuya being a jerk here and claiming to have known all along.
This is a most titillating situation!
So now everything has been connected. All the mysteries have finally become clear.
I still have no idea who did it,
well,
though.
Connected or clear or whatever. We still think you're the killer, remember?
Very interesting. This has become very interesting indeed.
He's off in his own little world.
There's just basically nothing you have to say here.
After everything we've learned, do you still think Byakuya's the killer?
It could be Byakuya, definitely.
Well, without a doubt, Byakuya is the one that made Chihiro's death look like Genocide Jack did it.
So did somebody else kill her and then Byakuya moved the body and staged a murder scene to blame Genocide Jack? But why would he, unless he was acting as a direct accomplice who was willing to sacrifice his own life to save the killer?
But
Yeah. Why would he move the body if he wanted to make it look like Genocide Jack did it? Unless he had already known that Genocide Jack was actually Toko, and he felt it was necessary in that case. But it wasn't really necessary. Like, this almost becomes a catch-22 of, unless we know what Byakuya knew and when he acted, did he find the e-handbook borrow elements later on, or did he know it all along?
I think he might not actually be the killer after all.
So instead of figuring it out for ourselves and getting enough clues to figure it out ourselves, this was a problem with a lot of the Sherlock Holmes stories too, is that there were often times where you literally were not given enough evidence to figure it out, and you just had to read along. Seems the case.
But aren't you the one who accused him in the first place?
He just seems to be too easygoing about all this. Like he's enjoying us solving the mystery.
Yeah.
The way he's acting, it makes it seem like it doesn't have anything to do with him.
So if you just play it cool...
And you think that might be because it doesn't have anything to do with him?
Plus, the evidence he left behind was a little too... How can I put it? Overt. He consciously chose to use the extension cord, knowing it could connect him to the murder. At least, that's how I see it. And Byakuya, when you found out the murder took place in the boys' locker room, it seemed to rattle you. And then again, when you found out Chihiro was actually a guy, if you really were the killer, that stuff wouldn't have had any effect on you.
So that's your thinking, huh? Well, it bothers me that you don't have more concrete reasons, but it's fine. I guess I'll mark it as correct for the time being.
Byakuya's such a jerk. He's about to get murdered and...
Mark it as correct?
He's right. I am not the culprit. I just happened to come across the corpse in the girls' locker room and decided to alter it.
So, what was he doing in the girls' locker room? So he didn't move the body. He just altered the scene somewhat.
Are you fucking with us right now?
What? Why risk your life to do that, though? Just to make the game more interesting for himself, I guess.
No, I am not effing with you right now. I'm telling you the truth.
Even Byakuya doesn't want to cuss.
Well, I find it very hard to believe.
Go ahead. Find it very hard to believe. You're free to be executed along with the rest of us.
If you're really telling the truth, then why? Why do you do that to his body?
My reasons hardly matter right now. Uncovering the culprit is much more important, wouldn't you say? Now then.
I kind of want to get their reasons. I feel like by the time the case is over, I'm still not going to get the reason.
Well, I don't think I can say for sure without talking about it a little more.
You're seriously gonna keep going? We're all good, aren't we? I thought it was clear Byakuya did it.
This is funny because, like, it really is just a super annoying conversation that you're forced into with these classroom trials.
No, I'm with Makoto. If there's any doubt whatsoever, we need to explore every possibility. Because if we're wrong, we all die here.
That's true. Very well then. I'm with you too.
Damn straight. Count me in.
Do you not have a mind of your own?
Of course I do. What am I, an ant or something?
Anyway, let's discuss
Keep
this all
on
as a
going
group
forward.
one more time.
Boy, it's
We
getting
still have
long,
time to
though.
make our decision.
Like, you can throw in a small intermission to a section like this, but you really can't deny that this is probably 2 hours, and we haven't even had the mini games in a while.
That's very true.
I'm gonna have to just be really careful to hit the buttons as fast as possible.
Then shall we resume our game of hide and seek?
Sometimes they aren't even done panning by the time I hit A or some. Yeah. If Byakuya didn't do it, then who's the real killer? Who murdered Chihiro? It's one thing we can be sure that we know about the killer. The killer was able to gain access to the real murder scene, which means the killer is a guy. Since the crime scene was in the boys' locker, you would need the boys' handbook to get in. Since Leon's handbook is apparently broken, the killer would have had to use their own. In other words, it had to have been a guy. But that's still not enough. I need to find some more clues. Make your argument. Celeste's account. I don't even know what Celeste's account would involve.
Isn't there a single clue that might lead us to who did it?
Clues are one thing. Did nobody get a look at the killer?
I'm sure if someone saw the killer, they would have said something by
So now we have to hit
Perhaps
A
someone
and
saw the
Y.
victim at some point. Even that might be enough for now.
Yeah. All we need right now is any kind of new info.
It's over. It's
I
all
missed
over.
both shots there.
You want to know who saw the victim? The killer. And only the killer.
Let's hit that one and call that a contradiction. Getting the extra time, getting 1 extra second isn't really that useful when it's
I
moving
believe
this
someone
slow.
else did see the victim before he was murdered. What do you think, Celeste?
Now that you mention it, yes. I did see him.
Really?
They are actually doing a decent job of switching to him at this point.
Oh, but I suppose only Makoto knows about this.
Makoto.
The rest of you had no idea, did you? That is why you're all making such ugly noises.
Whatever. Just hurry up and tell us.
It was last night, right before nighttime. I saw Chihiro in the dormitory warehouse.
She's talking really slow and stuttered.
I saw
Stunted.
him stuffing a track jacket into a duffel bag.
So, did he need male clothes to work out, or did he want male clothes to work out, or was he just getting female clothes, or like, yeah, I don't know.
And then, I assume, he headed off to exercise.
Maybe Chihiro was doing something completely different.
A track jacket and a duffel bag. But we didn't find anything like that at the murder scene.
True.
It seems likely that the culprit destroyed them to get rid of any evidence.
Which then that would point it to
And
Hifumi.
that is when he said something that struck me as rather odd.
Well, I better get going. I'm in kind of a hurry.
Chihiro told me he was in a hurry.
Why would you be in a hurry?
But why would he be in a hurry? Only if someone were waiting for him, I should think.
Okay,
So,
good thought.
Mr. Fujisaki
I missed
was on
that
his
line.
way to meet with someone, and then they were going to work out together?
But Hina and I had invited him to exercise with us plenty of times, and he always declined.
Probably because he was afraid you'd find out the secret he was hiding, right?
Which
Yep.
means that conversely, he must have trusted whoever he was meeting with very much. Enough so that he was willing to risk his secret being revealed.
So, pretty much the only thing I could say here is that we know we twice saw in the free time Chihiro hanging out with, I believe, Mondo. So, is it Mondo that killed her? Him?
Oh, what a marvelous friendship!
I mean, that's very loose, a loose bit of evidence that you could easily have missed simply by not wandering around the school during free time.
The point is, whoever he met up with.
Remember, they've made it so you can completely skip the free time sections.
But knowing what we know, I can't even guess.
No, you already have what you need to make the connection.
I do?
Huh?
You know who the killer is.
Who?
Seriously?
Really?
Who is it? Who's the killer?
Think back to the track jacket and duffel bag the killer disposed of.
Okay.
Focus on the details of these items, and it should become obvious who was waiting for him.
Are you sure about that? You really think we can figure out who did it based on two pieces of evidence that we don't have?
I'm not following at all. I have no idea.
What? You want to track down some fingerprints or something?
Even if we had the equipment for that, we wouldn't know how to use it.
As was noted, the evidence is already gone. There's nothing to get fingerprints from.
Maybe, but we can make certain inferences if we just take the time to talk it out.
Really?
Easy for you to say,
I am totally lost.
but fine.
Yeah,
Celeste,
you definitely can
did you
see
know
how
something special about the bag or jacket?
if these trials go on too long or these murder mysteries get too complicated, it's very easy to just lose the plot and not get back on board.
The bag was just a normal duffel bag from the warehouse. All the bags in there are the same, so I can't imagine what would make that one special.
Who discovered that the warehouse was open at first? Was it Byakuya or was it Taka? Might be Taka.
Well, if I remember right, there was a decent variety of tracksuits to choose from. Do you think there might be some connection between the culprit and Chihiro's jacket?
Perhaps. Let's explore that and talk a bit more about the jacket you took.
What would be the difference in tracksuits? Even if they were like different color or different sizes, maybe if we knew for a fact that blue tracksuits were a specific chest size, maybe then that would help us. Does Chihiro's tracksuit really hold the same some clue about the killer? Somehow it's really hard to believe. Make your argument. So Celeste's account again.
First of all,
This
we
is
know
getting
where Chihiro was headed.
really repetitive. We've got a lot of points here.
So next we have to ask, why did he choose the specific tracksuit that he did?
Seems like they're not even gonna bother to put the
Specific tracksuit.
noise ones in this case.
We picked that tracksuit because it matched the one the culprit was wearing.
Really?
So, what you're saying is, the killer was wearing the same blue tracksuit as him? My
Maybe.
tracksuit is black.
I don't even have a tracksuit. This exercising sucks.
Interesting.
I have a white tracksuit personally. I got it from the warehouse, if you must know.
Did any of that really help us get any closer to figuring out who the culprit is?
No way. Not a chance.
So there's gotta be
You heard it,
contradictions
right?
here.
What he just said without even realizing it?
No. She's right. what he said was just now is really odd. How did he know something like that?
First of all, we know where Chihiro was headed. He was on his way to go exercise.
That's
So
right.
next we have to ask, why did he choose the specific tracksuit that he did?
What do you mean, the specific tracksuit?
I feel like I need to suck in.
That tracksuit because it matched the one the culprit was wearing.
So there's nothing to suck in here.
What you're
So I
saying
guess if you're
is
supposed to suck
the killer
in
was wearing the same blue tracksuit as him?
blue
My
tracksuit.
tracksuit is black.
Nope, wrong.
I don't even have a tracksuit. Cause exercising sucks.
I have a white tracksuit personally.
No, that's
Got it
wrong.
From the warehouse, if you must know.
Did any of that really help us get any closer to figuring out who the culprit is?
No way. Not a chance.
So we're just like running out of time. So let's just try.
First of all, we know where Chihiro was headed. He was on his way to go exercise. So next we have to ask, why did he choose the specific tracksuit that he did?
What do you mean, the specific tracksuit?
I got it. He picked that tracksuit.
Yeah, I'm just like running out of time, and I just have no idea which one to absorb and which one to shoot.
What you're saying is the
And
killer
I
was
need to.
wearing the same blue tracksuit as him? My
I'm losing
tracksuit is
time
black.
every time.
I don't even have a tracksuit. Cause exercising sucks.
I have a white tracksuit personally. I got it from the warehouse, if you must know.
Did any of that really help us get any closer to figuring out who the culprit?
No way.
We gotta just fast forward through here.
First of all, we know where Chihiro was headed. He was on his way to...
How do you even like undo? Hey, let's just go to help here. Controls. Fire truth bullets. Select truth bullet is left. Like,
So next we have to ask, why did he choose the specific tracksuit that he did?
What do you mean, the specific tracksuit?
I got it. He picked that tracksuit because it matched the one the culprit was wearing.
So, what you're saying is the killer was wearing the same blue tracksuit as him?
No, it's wrong.
so apparently that was right. But I don't know why.
Hold on a second, Mondo.
You have to hit
What did you
Y,
just say?
Y and just shoot off something you absorb. I didn't know you could do that. So that really screwed up. Also, I still have just like totally lost the plot now, so I don't even know what he just revealed.
What'd I say?
And so maybe my mind at this point is getting a little tired for the day and it's turning to mush.
When Celeste testified a few minutes ago, she said,
I saw him stuffing a track jacket into a duffel bag. She didn't say blue. Ah, she didn't say the color. So you really, really have to pay attention here and realize what people are saying on top of just what you happen to know.
she never said anything about the jacket's color.
Interesting.
So why did you say Chihiro's blue tracksuit?
What are you? You just.
So I guess it may be Mondo.
Hey, Celeste, what color was Chihiro's tracksuit?
As a matter of fact, it was blue.
Also, her hair was blue in this scene because it was drawn by a different team
Before we began
or
the
at a
trial,
different time.
did you tell anyone that?
The only one I told about any of this was you.
Somebody would have had to have played this game and said, hey, her hair is a completely different color in that scene. Can't we do something about that? Put a shader over it and darken it and make it look closer to the same color.
Then
Tint, change the tint
how
on
do
it.
you know what color Chihiro's tracksuit was?
Because I just... I'm sure he saw the clothes at some point in the investigation.
Taka and Mondo became friends because of the sauna thing.
No, that can't be it. The bag and clothes were surely disposed of by the time we began our investigation.
Then the only reason he could have known what color the tracksuit was is if he saw Cherry with it before he died. That's the only possibility.
So she's calling Chihiro Cherry.
Are you talking about Chihiro? So, how about it? Did you see the tracksuit or didn't you?
Just by chance. I just happened to see it last night. He walked past me, and he was carrying the tracksuit in his hands.
No, that can't be it either.
Oops, jumped too fast there. She stuffed the jacket into her back in a hurry. It was almost like she was trying to hide it. And just like that, she was gone.
When Celeste noticed it, Chihiro
That's
made
an
a
interesting
point
point
of making sure
where
the jacket was
in the
completely
flashback
his
she was talking about Chihiro as a girl, and now what they're talking about Chihiro as a boy. There really isn't a ton of gendered language in Japanese anyways. There's some, well, actually there's probably quite a lot, come to think of it. But not as bad as, say, like Spanish, where nearly every word has a male and female way of saying something. If anything, I would say the Japanese language has very specific gendered honorifics that are used, and if you were speaking without the honorifics and just talking about generic objects and such, you wouldn't have any gendered language. I think that's what I was trying to make a point on.
You just ran into him briefly. You couldn't possibly have seen what color the tracksuit was.
It would be particularly great to get rid of Mondo and his cussing,
You dug your own grave.
but I don't see a reason why they would have written him that way in the first place.
Perhaps. But you handed him the shovel, didn't you? That's why you said what you did. Focus on the tracksuit and it'll be obvious who he met with? What a bunch of nonsense.
Ah, now I understand. It was all one big bluff, wasn't it?
Was it?
Your true intention was to draw a slip of the tongue from the culprit. That's why you said you knew who did it, to put them on edge.
That's right. However, Mondo was my target all along. I had my suspicions about him from the very beginning.
Why?
But why? What made you so suspicious?
That's a good question.
The way he talked, the way he was acting, because I hate him? The way he was acting, I guess, would be the only real reason to pick. Nope.
There was a certain turning point that tipped me off.
Was that the right choice, or was that the wrong choice, or did it even matter? Did I just get a choice that I could make for Kyoko?
Maybe you didn't notice it, Mondo, but you tend to refer to men and women differently.
The way he talks is differently. Well, no, I definitely haven't noticed that. All I've noticed about Mondo and the way he talks is how he's just like cussing all the
You
time.
only call guys dude. For girls, it's chick.
Yeah.
And after he was killed, you happened to refer to him as dude.
Really? Wow. This game is really just beating me over the head at this point for not paying attention to every single sentence said.
Once I picked up on that, it occurred to me that Mondo knew something we didn't.
Did you notice such a tiny detail?
I think I actually did notice him call Chihiro dude, and I just made an offhand comment and didn't like register it or remember it.
Are you a witch? She's a witch! You're positively frightful!
No, I'm not the frightful one. Not nearly as frightful as someone capable of murdering a friend.
Yeah, he also made a whole promise to her not to make her cry. remember, yeah, there was that whole scene.
Mondo, was it really you?
Hmm.
Did you really kill Chihiro?
Hmm.
I
And the whole backstory about keeping a promises because of his brother.
didn't kill anyone.
That's it's whole crazy to throw out all that backstory and all those scenes.
You've been all over me, judging everything I say, putting words in my mouth. What gives you the right to treat me like a goddamn criminal?
You're a gangster. You literally are a criminal.
Yeah, he would never do something like that. This is a false accusation.
It's true. My reasoning on that is pretty shaky.
That was fast.
We have a couple of... That was a weird sound effect to play, just in the middle of that. We probably have a couple more mini games to go through too.
This does present us with a problem. It seems we are all out of leads.
My time has nearly come.
Hifumi, are you really gonna add something to this investigation?
That's what my little ghost friend is telling me.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Hifumi, weren't you telling me you'd found some evidence?
Yes.
Really? What kind of evidence? ...
Actually, you know, now that I'm thinking about it here calmly, it might not be all that relevant.
Are you gonna offer the information or not? You know, it's kind of weird to have a tie pointing upward. Ties in general are kind of phallic objects, kind of designed to point the eye downward on men. So pointing upward is almost a smart counter argument to that.
Jeez.
Kind of basically saying my eyes are up here.
It's fine, man. Just tell us.
If you really insist, then... here it is.
So what is it? An ebook?
What do you have there? It happens to be an e-handbook. I found it laying on the ground, so I scooped it up.
So it's Chihiro's handbook. You found it on the ground. Then it must be Chihiro's.
I got it! We know Chihiro's handbook was missing from the scene of the crime, right?
Okay.
For a fact indeed. I was totally sure I'd found it.
Unless, of course, Chihiro's handbook was the one in the mailbox, and this is Leon's
It
handbook.
must hold some clue about the culprit, right?
But I don't know, like, what that really changes. And I guess maybe Mondo maybe killed Chihiro because he had something he didn't want exposed. That was embarrassing, but I don't even know what that would be unless it's a revelation that he somehow was culpable in the death of his brother.
Well, that's what I was
Or
hoping.
that he broke a...
But it's busted. It won't even turn on.
Or he doesn't actually keep his word or something like that.
I imagine the culprit broke it to get rid of any evidence after the murder.
How would you break it?
That's odd. I didn't think the handbooks were quite so fragile.
You're right. They're not.
Monokuma said there was one, way to break them, but otherwise they're pretty much impossible.
Waterproof and shock resistant. It would take an awful lot to break one.
What if they're waterproof and shockproof? Fireproof? Yeah, maybe, or humidity. I mean, maybe fire or humidity breaks them.
And yet, this one does appear to be broken, as is Leon's, sitting useless in the main hall. For all your confidence, that is a remarkably high failure rate.
Do you think there might be some kind of mystery in there somewhere?
Do they break each other if you try to plug them into each other, or do you hit one with the other, like using a diamond on a diamond?
How precisely did the handbooks get broken?
They were put into the incinerator by hacking it, by exposing a bug, by hitting its weak point.
I got it!
We don't know what the weak point
You
is.
told us before that the handbook has one weak point, didn't you?
So is there just a point where you can hit it?
You remember that?
Yeah, the only reason I remember that is because the game is making you remember
Sure, maybe I let that slip, but I never told anyone what the weak point actually was.
it.
But if the handbook is supposed to never break, and two of them broke in quick succession, then
Then we can only assume that someone's figured out its weakness.
Are they heat? Are they damaged by the sauna?
You know what the weakness is, right, Monokuma? So, what is it?
So, was Mondo in the sauna with his clothes on because he was trying to break a handbook, or did he break a handbook while he was in the sauna accidentally and realize the weakness? Was Chihiro dead overnight while the sauna was going on?
You're asking me?
I think it's a necessary piece of information if you want this to be a fair trial.
But if I tell you, and someone else decides to copy it, that would be very not good.
Just tell us already. Why would we want to break our own handbooks?
Oh well, I have a weakness for pushy demands. But you're sure you won't follow their example? Then allow me to make a special announcement. The weak point of my cutting-edge e-handbook is... When it's exposed to high temperatures for too long, it will suffer a meltdown and totally break!
That's pretty much the weak point of most electronics.
I flippin' knew it!
You knew it? Yeah, because I found the handbook laying on the floor of the sauna.
Okay.
The temperature in the sauna can reach over 200 degrees. Strange how you don't get burnt, huh?
200 degrees seems really high.
It's because as your sweat evaporates, it creates a cooling layer of air around your skin. If the hot air of the sauna were somehow pushed directly onto your skin, you'd definitely get fried. That layer of air would get blown away. That's why you may feel a burning when you move around. So when you're in a sauna,
Feels like
make sure to keep nice
this is
and
basically
still.
something that would have been in the Monokuma theater versus something that needs to be in a class trial. So that almost makes me wonder if the Monokuma theater elements at one point were going to be in class trials.
Interesting. I learned one new fact today.
That is a mere trifling speck of knowledge.
Anyway, if you
Yeah,
found the
just
victim's
anyway.
handbook in the sauna,
Again, this feels like something that would make more sense if that was a gag panel in a manga, comic book, or if this was a gag scene, cutaway scene for like half a second in an anime. But making it part of the game that's already so long seems unnecessary.
then the killer must have been purposely trying to raise its temperature in order to break it.
meaning the culprit somehow knew its weakness.
But how'd they find out? Monokuma said he didn't tell anyone, right?
Indeed. Quite the mystery.
So it's either Taka or Mondo.
What if they found out by accident?
What do you
Yeah.
mean by accident?
So every little ridiculous things we're forced to see, like the sauna off between Taka and Mondo, became important
What if the
later
killer
on.
took their own handbook into the sauna, not knowing its weakness, and it broke? They'd realize it was broken, of course, and it wouldn't be hard to figure out why. And once they had Chihiro's handbook, they knew they had an easy way to dispose of it.
I won't say it's not possible, but who would have done something like that? I don't know of anyone who took their handbook into the sauna.
I might know someone who did. ...
Seriously?
Man, this is still going on.
I think the one who may have taken their handbook into the sauna was
Who might have brought their handbook into the sauna? Had to be one of those who wore all their clothes into the sauna. It was obviously either Makoto or Mondo.
Here's my answer.
I think
Mondo, your handbook got broken in the
Makoto
sauna, didn't
was in the sauna, but we don't know if he was wearing clothes when he was in the sauna, witnessing the other two in the sauna off, or if he was even in the sauna, or if he was just looking through a window or through a doorway. And he probably wasn't in the sauna for very long.
What? Why do you keep accusing him?
Taka was naked, pretty much, in a towel.
Mondo and Taka had an endurance contest in the sauna not too long ago. Remember?
Did everybody know about it?
Before the contest, Mondo just so happened to keep his school uniform on. But little did he realize, he'd also left his handbook in one of his uniform pockets.
We don't see any visual evidence of that, but I'm willing to believe that more than believing Taka had his handbook on him in that appearance.
And when it was all over, Mondo discovered that taking your handbook into the sauna could easily destroy it.
Of course, now there is an argument here that everybody should just go destroy their e-handbooks just to piss off Monokuma and stop him from making any more regulations. Also, potentially to stop him from tracking people, because I wouldn't be surprised one bit if the e-handbook had a tracker installed in it, and like GPS on it.
No, wait, hold on. You've got it all wrong. He would never kill. I don't accept this. Show me the proof. The actual solid proof.
So, and funny, it feels like I'm gonna have that rhythm minigame with Taka instead of Mondo. I mean, I don't want you to believe it either, but I found something that proves it beyond a shadow of a doubt. What have I found? I gotta do another thing. Alright, the broken e-book, Chihiro's e-handbook.
Let's test Makoto's assertion. If what he says is correct, then Mondo, you broke your own handbook.
Okay.
If Mondo's
I can
handbook
swap.
is actually broken,
It's probably the
that
card
proves
reader.
that what Makoto said is right.
Well, my goddamn handbook works just fine.
Does it?
See? Look! Makoto was wrong after all. Mondo wouldn't hurt a fly.
I'm sure Mondo's handbook is broken during their sauna. If I could just prove it, they would show that that the handbook must actually must actually be.
Let's test Makoto's assertion. If what he says is correct, then Mondo, you broke your own handbook.
Hit that
In
again.
other words, if Mondo's handbook is actually broken, then that proves that what Makoto said is right.
Well, my goddamn handbook works just
Let's
fine.
hit that.
See? Look! Makoto was wrong after all.
This isn't working.
Shoot!
So there goes a heart.
Let's test Makoto's assertion. If what he says is correct, then Mondo, you broke your own handbook.
In other words, if
Getting
Mondo's
more
handbook
time
is
basically doesn't even
actually
help
broken,
if you just make enough
then that
mistakes.
proves that what Makoto said is right.
Well, my goddamn handbook works just fine.
Nope. I don't know if I just missed a shot before.
Let's test Makoto's assertion. If what he says is correct, then Mondo, you broke your own handbook.
I'm gonna lose here.
If Mondo's
I should have
handbook is
saved.
actually broken,
Man, I might
then
get
that
thrown back
proves
very
that what
far.
Makoto said is right.
Well, my goddamn handbook works just...
No, that's wrong.
So yeah, I just missed a shot the last time. Man, there's far too many instances here. We're only on case 2.
Is it really yours?
But like, far too many instances here where it feels like you can really drop the ball and just lose the game. I don't know if it's going to give you a continue screen or what, or if it just make you load a save game.
The broken handbook that was in the main hall. Isn't that one actually yours?
What the heck are you talking about?
Is there a way of testing?
What I mean is, I think Mondo swapped his handbook out for one that actually works.
Oh, so he didn't actually break Chihiro's handbook at all, and he's just using Chihiro's handbook now. Well, then where's Leon's handbook? I guess that's the one Hifumi picked up. Or maybe Leon's was the one that worked, and Hifumi does still have Chihiro's. That might be the case also.
I think he took Leon's handbook and replaced it with his own. After all, Monokuma said himself that Leon's handbook never should have broken.
That's right. The punishment it suffered wasn't nearly enough to destroy it.
Yeah, okay.
So then, the broken handbook in the main hall is actually Mondo's.
That makes sense.
Which would mean that the handbook Mondo has right now is actually Leon's, yes?
But doesn't that violate the school regulation that says loaning out your handbook is prohibited?
Well, here's how I look at it. There is a rule about loaning your handbook to another student, but if they're dead, they're not a student. It's kind of a gray area, I admit. But no worries. If anything, it just makes
So you just know Monokuma is just playing as much with the rules as possible to keep the game going.
As such, I decree that exchanging handbooks with a corpse is not a violation of the rules.
Well, Mondo, if I'm wrong about this, you're welcome to say so.
But we still have like that rhythm game, unless they're just not going to do the rhythm game in this
I'm happy
instance.
to admit I made a mistake, but
Son of a bitch.
Now he's back to cussing.
What's wrong, bro? Come on. Tell him he's wrong. You are wrong. You have to be wrong. Everything you just said is wrong. You made it all up.
okay, then why don't we look back on this case one more time, from the beginning? That way, everything will become clear, and we'll all see if I was right or wrong.
Jeez, I kind of wonder if maybe the game just realized I did such a bad job on the rhythm game in case 1 that they're not even going to bother to give me one in this case. That seems weird. But yeah, we're just straight at the closing arguments. We've got like 20 minutes, or seems. So we got to get the hint here. There. Every time. Celeste saw Chihiro in the warehouse with a duffel bag, and then we've got to find the blue jacket, and then she stuffs it into the bag. I like this animation style. There was something everyone had to need to get into the locker room, which is the handbook. Which locker room did she go into? Or he go into? Is the boys' locker room? Is that the image? You'd think the girl's picture here would mean more. And then you have the killer in gray again. Weapon the killer used. We do know that fairly easily. That there wasn't really even a question on that one. Murder took place, some blood splattered onto something. The poster. Is that the poster? And then Apparently all that stopped. The disguise of truth switched around the carpet as well as something else. The poster. Which locker room did the killer move to? The girls' locker room. So that they pretty much are demanding that you remember this. Killer took something from their locker room and switched it at the scene of the crime. The handbook. That seems weird, but okay. And he left her pretty much like that. And then Byakuya came in. And Byakuya brought the murder scene that only he could have brought. The extension cord. Yeah. This isn't a very fair game without the the hints. When Byakuya arrived at the scene, what do you do to disguise what happened? You can see Byakuya did wrap it around her neck, and that's pretty gruesome. I wouldn't, frankly, have hated if there was like a version 1.0 or a beta version of this game that was just cutscenes like this. And less of the 3D stuff. A D-make almost. Like, frankly though, I think they probably should reboot a game like this and try to make it work a little bit smoother. When the killer go, whether the killer go after they were done. Let's see. The sauna? I don't think I'm right on one of the earlier ones. When the handbook got thrown in the sauna room, what happened to it? It broke? I don't even know what this is supposed to be. What buttons work here? Is there a possibility that there's a symbol here that's supposed to represent it broke? Okay. What hinge is this? The weapon the killer used was this. Murder took place. Some blood splattered on something. That. The disguise of truth is switched around the carpet as well as something else. So, do I want it to be the poster image here or the poster image here? Seems like they kind of have two options here. Let's try and reenact this and see if this has worked right.
First, let's take a look back to before the incident.
I hope this is right because that took about 10 minutes out of the 20 minutes.
Last night, Celeste saw Chihiro in the warehouse, correct?
Warehouse looks pretty different here.
At the time, she was apparently stuffing something into a duffel bag.
And see, in this case, Celeste has black hair, not purple hair.
This, right, Celeste?
Yeah, she looks completely different in this animation again.
Even though it was officially nighttime.
Like, if you're gonna break up the animation amongst 3 different teams of animators, you really needed to have just a standard palette agreement. It almost implies that they thought these animators were gonna draw everything in black and white, and then it got colorized later. But if it got colorized later, then that's even more inexcusable.
She made her way to the locker room, specifically the boys' locker room. But how could the victim, who is apparently a girl, access the boys' locker room? Simple, because she was really a he.
So each one of these acts
Which is why he
were
was able to
almost
use his own
certainly
handbook to gain
were
entrance to the
written
boys' locker room.
at the very beginning of the murder mysteries, and then they wrote themselves somewhat backwards from that point. And it almost feels like they threw darts at a board to get the revelations. So now we need to go back. So we were wrong. What is this? The weapon the killer used was not the bloody dumbbell, but the dumbbell I guess he was working with. How in the world are you gonna make the difference there?
Once inside, he met with someone there. It seems likely that the killer grabbed the nearby dumbbell, approached the unsuspecting Chihiro, and attacked him. And that's where the bloodstains on the poster and carpeting in the boys' locker room came from.
Okay.
It was likely in the heat of the moment. The body was arranged, but the murder itself felt unplanned.
I kind of feel like the game should just move into an automatic mode here, and it should just tell you the wrap-up of what you've learned, and you shouldn't have to play a final minigame. Seems unnecessary.
Which is why the killer hurried to try and hide the act.
Like, this should really be the reward, instead of the reward for a class trial basically being getting to see the person brutally killed.
And finally carrying the corpse into the girls' locker room.
So at this point, even though the murder itself seemed to be mostly unplanned, the Mondo, let's just say Mondo, seemed to already have figured out that he could have used and borrowed one of the handbooks.
A girl's handbook was necessary to get into the locker room, of course. But this alone doesn't prove that the killer was necessarily a girl. After all, Sayaka and Junko's handbooks had been placed in the main hall.
So basically you could have been walking around with those handbooks at any time.
Using one of those, a boy could get into the girls' locker room without much problem.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how the killer did it.
And you kind of know Monokuma intentionally invented the scanners and the doors just so they could be subverted later, because Monokuma is watching everything on the cameras anyways. So if he was actually intent on just setting off the machine gun and shooting anybody trying to go into the wrong locker room, there would have been no need for the scanners in the first place.
With the carpet and the poster they brought with them, they got to work. They changed the layout of the boys' and girls' locker room in what you might call a crime scene switch.
Ah, you might call it that.
That could have been the end of things, but no.
So Byakuya also would have had to have figured out that he could get into the girls' locker room. So basically 2 boys, for one reason or another, tried to get it figured out very quickly in like less than a day how to get into the girls' locker room.
Byakuya discovered the body and decided to intervene in the situation. making things even more complicated.
His reasoning, I have no idea, other than he's just a jerk. Unless the door was just left open.
Stumbling on the crime scene.
He stumbled on the crime scene either already carrying the plug or he went back and got the plug.
He went and grabbed the extension cord.
I guess he
from the
went back.
library, and then he got to work. He used the cord to string up Chihiro's lifeless body.
It's a little surprising that when Mondo saw this scene that he didn't freak out immediately, knowing that the body had been moved and so much new evidence had been made.
Then, using the victim's own blood, he left a grisly message there at the scene of the crime.
It's a shame they don't have luminol, because then you could just pretty much see who has blood on their hands at any time.
He wanted to create the illusion that Genocide Jack was responsible for the slaughter.
Even though he was completely wrong about that.
And around the same time that Byakuya was putting together this facade, the killer, having already disposed of Chihiro's bag and other belongings, arrived at the sauna.
How did he dispose of that stuff? Probably put it in your bedroom. Honestly, you could hide a whole bunch of evidence easily in your bedroom and nobody would ever be able to get in there and see it.
There, they planned to destroy the last piece of evidence, Chihiro's handbook. And just as the killer expected, the steamy sauna was enough to ruin the electronic gadget. Somehow, the killer knew that the handbook couldn't stand up to the heat of the sauna. And the reason they knew that is because the sauna had already wrecked their own handbook.
And almost certainly Monokuma should make a new rule that says if you break your handbook, you get punished.
And that's how it all played out. Isn't that right, Mondo Owada?
And here you have Mondo drawn very differently. I wouldn't be surprised if I end up with a B or even a C as a score for this.
Wait. No. This can't be right. Where's your evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence?
Maybe I have to do the rhythm game now.
You need evidence. You need proof.
Well, honestly, they are going to eventually have cases where there is just no evidence. And being that such a stickler for evidence is going to be a problem.
Without any proof, you can't pin any of this on him.
Evidence that Mondo is the killer that already revealed itself earlier in the trial. If I can somehow show where Mondo's handbook is right now, once I do that, everything will become clear. A new element has been added to the bullet time battles. Do you want to hear about it? Absolutely. Let's talk about fever time and nega time. During a bullet battle, if you press the right button, fever time will activate and your tempo will be forced to its max. Yeah, I don't think I'll be using that. At this point, if you push the buttons at random, you won't miss. Ooh, well, maybe I will use that then. So you can press AY, however you won't destroy your opponent's verbal assault. ... But this only lasts until your focus gauge just runs out, so make it best possible use of your time. I don't know what the point of that is. Of course, it wouldn't be fair if only you got to access to this special time, right? So we prepared something called nega time that your opponent can use. If your opponent activates nega time during a bullet battle, your tempo marker will disappear, making it quite a bit tougher to hit the buttons in rhythm. So yeah, I'm really going to have to listen. If you were to activate fever time at this point, no, never mind. I'm sure nothing would happen. I don't know what I was worried about. Unsurprisingly, if your action difficulty is set to gentle, Your opponent won't use nega time. I don't think I'm on gentle. Well then, good luck and have fun. Yeah, we'll see. I don't even remember how this works.
Show me some evidence. You're wrong. I won't listen. I refute you. False.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I won't listen. False.
1, 3. 1, 3. 1, 3.
I refuse to vote. Show me some evidence.
Let's see.
You're wrong. I won't listen. I refute you.
Am I doing combos?
Show me some evidence.
So I went into fever time.
I won't listen. False. You're corrupt. I refuse to vote.
Yeah, I'm not doing great.
Show me some evidence.
This should prove it.
And then you just hit Y. I don't even know what I shot at out there.
If my thinking so far is right,
Yeah, I still feel like that's pretty awful there. But whatever.
Mondo must have replaced his broken handbook with Leon's. In which case, we can just check each of our handbooks right now.
Yeah, this wouldn't be a bad process just at the beginning of every class trial. Everybody turn on your handbook so it shows your name.
Once we do that, we'll...
We don't gotta do that.
Huh?
Yeah. I did it. I killed him.
Why? What secret was going to be exposed? So we got A, B, B. And that got me to an A. It got me 991 points. But in this instance, there was actually 11 sections. So I should have been closer to, I think, 1,091 points. I lost, I think, a full 100 points there. And then this is probably going to convert into about 75 coins again, which if it's any higher than that, then we know we get Monokuma tokens at kind of a set rate no matter what you score. Yeah, I got 80. So that does seem to me like it's more than likely you just get a set amount regardless.
Bro, what are you saying?
So now we're going to see a horrific execution, but I would like him to explain why he killed her.
I got no choice, man. After hearing all that, I gotta just give up.
Thank goodness. Get rid of Mondo. If we could only get rid of Hifumi next.
Go ahead, Monokuma. Get it over with. Ask for the goddamn verdict.
Roger that.
Wait! Hold on!
No waiting, no holding on. Time for the moment we've all been waiting for. Grab your lever and give it a yank!
And once again, kind of an innuendo there.
Who will you elect as the blackened this time around? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one?
The question here is, if I had hung out with Mondo more, would I have gotten some kind of backstory that would have maybe explained some things better as to why he had some secret that he had to kill to protect. Yeah, you just like the fashionista character, you just have people here that are like not getting fleshed out in the first gameplay, or the first run through, and that seems weird. Even for a visual novel, it seems weird. Oh, it looks like you got it right again. Yes, it is so. The blackened that killed Chihiro Fujisaki was Mondo Owada. Now we're back to no more voice acting. ...
Unbelievable.
In case you were wondering, the vote was not unanimous. Kiyotaka chose the wrong answer. You're trending very close to the danger zone, Mr. Ishimaru. You need to be more careful. I refuse to believe it. There's no way he would kill someone. But I guess it is just a group popular vote that chooses. Sorry.
What is this?
Why are you apologizing? Why? Why? Why did you do it? ...
Now then.
It looks like Mondo's taking a vow of silence, so allow me to explain on his behalf.
Actually,
The story of the murder this time is the sad story of two men. Oh, but for anyone who really doesn't want to hear it, you can hit the B button to fast forward the text, man. Breaking the fourth wall. Anyway, there once was a young boy, and his name was Chihiro Fujisaki. He had an extreme inferiority complex regarding his own lack of strength. You're so weak, even though you're a boy. He heard things like that as long as he could remember, and he couldn't overcome his weakness. On the contrary, he tried to hide and buried himself further into that weakness to take on the fragile form of a petite young girl. He had chosen that as his way out, which at a certain point, I don't know if that even really is transgenderism at that point, more than it is just developing a coping mechanism. This would probably be one of those scenarios where years of therapy before being allowed to transition, if you thought you were transgender, an issue of inferiority complexes might be addressed in better ways through therapy. But often therapists do tell people to transition also if they think it's what's best for them. But having an inferiority complex in particular about being weak isn't really solved very well by becoming a girl or dressing as a girl. Now, nobody will be able to say anything about even though you're a boy. No matter how tightly he wrapped himself in that shell, the inferiority complex had already taken root deep inside of him, and was not so easily weeded out. As it turned out, the shell was completely empty. The complex didn't disappear. Instead, it only grew stronger and stronger. I'm weak.
Weak.
Well, are they gonna voice it, or are they not gonna voice it? Once the killing game had begun, yeah, this flashback to several people who are now missing and about to be missing. Boy, is this a crowded room now. Once the killing game had begun here at the school, he had no choice but to accept this fact. After all, the world is survival of the fittest. If you're not strong, you don't survive. And then the lovely and hateful Monokuma announced that the revealing of embarrassing secrets, which of course included Chihiro's embarrassing secret, which I was more than willing to divulge. Even though he dresses like a girl, Chihiro is actually a boy.
Hey,
And that was something Chihiro couldn't let anyone find out, no matter the cost. If that was revealed, it would be the end. The hardened shell would crack and the armor would fall away. Without a doubt, those around him would torture him more than ever before. Everyone figured being thrust into such a dilemma must have sent him into spiraling into despair. And yet...
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I don't really want to talk about it right now, but I also don't want to leave things the way they are, so maybe I can talk about it later. After I try my best to become strong, then I can tell everyone. Annoyingly, he used the threat of the discovery to motivate himself to become stronger.
That's right.
Now's my chance.
I want to change.
I'm gonna get stronger and accept who I am. Strong enough so that when someone says, even though you're a boy, I'll be okay, I'll get better. With that thought at the front of his mind, can Monokuma read people's minds? Maybe, maybe not. He resolved to take immediate action. So I don't know how much of this is observation by Monokuma or just being made up by Monokuma. And so, the day he made the commitment to begin exercising, he was prepared to retrain his mind and body, but sadly, that would be the first and only chance he would get at it. When he decided to start exercising, he thought it would be good to ask for someone's help, but he wanted to tell that person his secret first, and then asked them to help him from there. And that person he went to,
Yeah, that's right.
it was me. Yep, it sure was. Biker gang fella had been painfully clear about how important his manly promises were. So Chihiro probably figured that even if he confided in Mondo, his honor would make him keep the secret. Wow, is this really just gonna boil down to homophobia on Mondo's part? Or transgender fear, phobia on Mondo's part? Plus, Mr. Macho Mondo was the very symbol of a strong man that Chihiro was always aspired to. Maybe talking to Mondo about it will help give me some courage. So he went and asked Mondo to help him become strong. That was his aspiration. And he thought that only with Mondo's support would he ever be able to come close to that?
Correct.
So then that must be why Mondo did what he did, to keep the promise he made to Chihiro. Huh? Did what he did? You mean that's why Mondo carried Chihiro from the boys' locker room into the girls' locker room? Oh, to keep her secret. Okay. That makes sense.
Indeed.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Wasn't that to cover up what he'd done?
Certainly.
That could have been part of it, but I don't think that was the main reason. The real purpose was to keep the promise between men he'd made to Chihiro. But how does moving the body keep his secret? Because if everyone knew he'd been killed in the boys' locker room, then everyone would have been arguing how she got into the boys' locker room, right? Once that started up, at least a few of us would have immediately begun to suspect his identity, so to protect Chihiro's secret by putting him in the girls' locker room and stealing his handbook, see? Then Mondo did all that to keep a promise he had made to Chihiro, who he'd also killed. ... Why would he do that? The more I hear you talk, the more I don't understand. I mean, you guys trusted each other, right? So why? Why did you? ... Because no matter what, I didn't want anyone to know.
I knew it.
So that's what's triggered it, after all. The possibility of having your embarrassing memories and secrets exposed.
What is this?
That's impossible. Nothing could have been that bad. Something he didn't want anyone to know, even if it meant killing someone. It's impossible.
Don't make me repeat myself.
How many times must I repeat myself? Man, they just threw in Byakuya so they could play his sound effect and put in this sentence, I guess. To judge others by your own standard is the height of folly. Even if you can't comprehend it, he obviously can. That's all there is to it. Well, while we're on the subject, why don't I tell you? The embarrassing memory, the secret he didn't want anyone to know.
Hey,
You know what Mondo did? He killed his own brother. Yeah, that seems about right. Like I said at the very, very beginning of this chapter, the only way a secret would be so bad that you'd be willing to kill somebody for it and make a cover-up is if you had already killed somebody. And obviously, Toko with Genocide Jill had already killed somebody, so that would have been her secret, and it would have probably motivated her to kill somebody eventually. She probably just didn't get enough of an opportunity. The other one, also I think Genocide Jill really was not released until Chihiro already had been killed and Toko saw the blood. But yeah, this seems fairly obvious. Yeah. I bet he crashed the bike or something. Mondo, the ultimate biker gang leader, makes all the hoodlums and riffraff across the country tremble. But the only reason he had a chance to join a gang in the first place because of a certain someone. Mondo's older brother was name was Daya Owada. Mondo had nothing but respect for him. It was because of Daya that Mondo ever got on a motorcycle. Mondo's brother was the only family growing up. He was the only one Mondo could trust or respect. He wanted to measure up to his big brother, so he imitated him in everything he did. Mondo was the epitome of starry-eyed kid brother. A lot of this like fashion and biker gang stuff was more popular, I'd say, in about the 60s or 70s, early days of anime and Japanese entertainment in general, even live action. Now it just seems like so ridiculous and out of place. I doubt there's too many biker gangs out there in Japan these days. Meanwhile, the charismatic older brother had put together a local motorcycle gang. Before anyone knew it, it had grown into the biggest biker gang in the country. Daya, the older brother, number one in the gang, and is known to his younger brother Mondo. In the beginning, everything was peaches and gravy, but when Mondo started to think about how he would have to take over the gang from his brother someday, his brother's greatness, his reputation, began to gnaw at Mondo's very soul. The kid's gonna take over for Daya, huh? Daya created this gang with his bare hands. Mondo's just along for the ride. Can someone like that really be our leader? All that'll do is make the gang look bad. Almost every day, Mondo heard the gossip and whispers from the other members of the gang, which is why I gotta get stronger and stronger than Daya. Just one time. No matter what, I've gotta win. I don't care what it takes, I've gotta come out on top. And on the night of his amazing brother's retirement ceremony, Mondo challenged him to a street race. And they are called Crazy Diamond. I thought that's what I read. But during the race, tragedy struck. Looks like he drove the wrong way on the street and crashed directly into a van. Custom animation here that you only get to see once, I'm sure. The kid brother pushed ahead with reckless abandon, eager for victory, and dashed into oncoming traffic. But suddenly, so he knocked him out of the way to save his brother. So, an unintentional manslaughter at most. Although, one could argue that engaging in dangerous activity does probably make you more culpable for someone's death than just doing normal activities. Laying in his kid brother's arms, the older brother delivered his final words. And yeah, Daya's appearance is much more normal, at least hair-wise. My bad, kid. I effed up, sorry. Of course, this isn't going to be voiced. Why would you voice a special character like that? Although they did voice Makoto's family. That was weird. Of course, he knew it was his brother's fault, but Daya never blamed him for what happened. Hey kid, the rest is up to you. No matter what, you gotta keep the gang together. Because it's the team you and me put together. It's a promise between men. You decide to hide the truth of what happened from everyone else in the gang in order to keep the gang together and keep the promise to his brother. He could never admit to anyone that it was his own weakness that caused the accident. As a result, the team was made even stronger under the banner of the kid who bested his big brother. Daya was gonna lose to his kid brother, so he got stupid and got himself killed. That became the explanation for what happened. Mondo's lie became the truth. He wanted to lead the team so bad he was willing to tell all kinds of lies about his brother. Boy, is this just like another hour and a half after that, the intermission. this is just going much longer than I thought it would. But honestly, this is better. Like a full proper explanation as to why you killed someone feels like more of a reward than the first chapter, where it was just that the girl tried to kill the guy and Leon managed to reverse the tables on her and killed her instead. I'm strong. Strong. And yet, as soon as our killing game began, he realized, yeah, we're talking in circles here. No matter how tough he pretended to be, he was just another weakling that could die in an instant. See, and if there is like a new game plus concept or a time rewind concept, it would be interesting if this was the section where somebody might learn something from a future alternate reality and realize that that they can just survive and live in harmony in this world and not actually end up killing each other, and they could realize that they will fail if they do try to kill somebody. It would at least explain some of the characters that have been eliminated. And sadly, we are now getting fairly low on female characters. Also, we have like Aoi, Celeste, Genocide Jill, and Toko, Kyoko, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. Okay. And then the lovely and hateful Monokuma announced the revealing of the embarrassing secrets, at which point it was clear I would have no problem shedding light on his secret. Monokuma killed his older brother. No matter what, I couldn't let our gang members find out. For a second there, I thought the whole game was going to go through the story again and it glitched. If that happened, everything would have been ruined. Yeah. See, showing that exact same scene and showing the exact same lines really does make it feel like this was a manga first and foremost. I should probably do some research and find out if that was the case. That would make a lot of sense. Everything me and my brother had worked so hard to create would have been destroyed. His death, all the guilt I've been carrying around, it would have all been for nothing. So that's why. That's why I... Mondo. After I saw what Monokuma had on me, my head filled with a kind of fuzzy uneasiness and just started swirling around. I'd never felt anything like it before. I didn't know what to do about it. I wasn't sure what to think or say. But after a while, that fuzzy uneasiness turned itself into a rock-hard lump of anxiety way down in my stomach, and it was right around then that Chihiro asked me to start working out with him. And right then, he told me a secret. Seriously? Jesus. I'm sorry I lied to you. But why? Why now? Why are you telling me of this all of a sudden? Huh? Because, I mean, you've kept that secret all this time, right? If anyone found out, you would.
But
you're right, but...
I want to change.
I want to change. I wrapped myself in lies. I'm weak. I want to destroy this version of me forever. His words were like a knife in my gut. I felt like he was exposing the lie that I'd been living myself. I have to change. I don't want to be weak anymore. You're so strong, it can't hurt you, right? Whatever secret Monokuma might tell us. ... So what? You're saying I should just say it?
What?
You're saying if I really am, I should just be able to tell everyone my secret? Huh? I was jealous. I was jealous of Chihiro's strength. He had the strength to face his own weakness, to try and overcome it. Boy, this is just going on forever. Let's just take a deep breath here. Like, man, after about 30 lines of dialogue, it's too much talking on my part. And I'm not even trying to, like, do funny voices or enunciate here. I definitely would not be well suited to be a voice actor. It was the kind of strength I've never had, so I was jealous of him, and that jealousy broke me.
What?
Are you making fun of me? I'm strong? Are you effing me with me right now?
No.
I'm not making fun of you. You really are strong, Mondo. I felt I could hear something starting to creak. I think that's supposed to be crack. Something inside my head. What did you want me to do? What was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to just sit back and let my secret get revealed and ruin everything?
What's wrong?
What's wrong?
Damn you!
Why did you have to tell me all that? Are you trying to rub my failure in your face? I will say I'm glad that this isn't just transphobia or homophobia on Mondo's part, because easily I could see any other writer just immediately going to that.
I
No.
just wanted to.
I just really admire you. I admire your strength. In Japanese, this makes a little bit more sense, this conversation also.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. I am strong. Strong. I'm strong. Strong, 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 strong. Stronger than you.
Son of a bitch!
And stronger than Daya. I don't remember anything after that. When I woke up, he was laying at my feet covered in blood. I had the dumbbell in my hand. I was just staring down on the ground. Staring at him down on the ground. Hey. ...
Killed him. I killed Chihiro.
Well, if he blacked out, I mean, there is a possibility that somebody else showed up, killed him, and then put the dumbbell in your hand.
Even after all this time, I'm still just as weak as I've always been.
It's weird to get back to the voice acting at this point. Why not voice act that previous part where the story was really impactful, emotional, and important?
And thanks to that, I did something I can never take back.
I feel like there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of visual novels on Steam that are in this similar position where some voice acting might exist, but not all voice acting for every single sentence. Or there's very little voice acting, but enough that they can at least check the checkbox, which isn't really checked on Steam, as to whether it has full English dialogue. Yeah, when I stream normally and look at new games listed on Steam, I very often go allegedly English full audio as a way of pointing out that there's just so many games that say they have full English audio, but you can look at the game and immediately know that there won't be any spoken dialogue at all, or very little. And thanks to that, I did something I can never take back. Mondo. He was normally so aggressive, so angry. He hid the weak side away from everyone. Like, one could argue that a lot of aggressive, angry people probably have a weak aspect to their personality. That was his secret. A weakness that lived in his heart, in a heart like his. It turned him cold-blooded. God damn it. So, yeah. Once again, the idea, I think, is to make everybody despair, and a story like that certainly could add despair to a lot of people's thinking. Look at him, you see? You're all just like him. From a secret from the past for a memory. For a secret from the past for a memory. For that, he killed another living human in cold blood. He couldn't cut free of his regrets from the outside world. He doesn't know what true strength is. Do you see hope anywhere in there? 'Cause I sure don't. You bastard. Just shut up, you SOB. Go ahead and say that again, I dare you.
Yep.
Okay, I'll say it as many times as I want. Is what I want to say, but unfortunately, I can't do that right now because it's time for punishing. The time for punishing is fast approaching. Well, at least in this instance, only 2 people seem to have been killed. Nobody tried to kill Monokuma. It feels like Taka might be very close to trying to attack Monokuma. But yeah, there still are like 10 remaining students after this, I think, which that number still seems very high.
It can't be.
You mean execution?
Well now, well now, well
That's what
now,
I
well
promised you,
now.
right? The blackened that disturbs the peace will be punished.
Ridiculous.
Hold on.
Now then, I prepared a very special punishment.
And this is the same voice line as before, and then they just add to this for Mondo Owada, the ultimate biker gang leader. Well, if the ultimate baseball person was killed with baseballs, I can only assume that the ultimate biker gang leader is going to get killed with either bikes or a biker gang. Unless they can figure out some way to kill him with leadership. No, wait.
Let's give it everything we've got. It's punishment time.
You can definitely tell how some of these lines of dialogue could have been edited down to just what was voiced. They've already made that artistic decision to say some lines of dialogue are more important than others. So really was just taking the next step to have an editor cut it down. And honestly, I don't know if I would really hate the idea of having a visual novel come out for the West, specifically localized for the West, where it does cut half of the dialogue out and just makes it a dumbed down, easier to follow story for the Western audience. And then if they want the true experience, they could flip it over to Japanese and read the subtitles otherwise. But at a certain point, then what you're getting is something like Robotech, which was one of the early translations of anime shows to the West, in which they took 3 completely disconnected anime TV series and cut out a whole bunch of content and merged it together to make Robotech. Fortunately, they haven't done that too often, but there have been things like Card Captors versus Card Captor Sakura, where they heavily change the focus and move the episodes around and cut out entire episodes. Moving on though. I said wait. Sorry, man.
I couldn't keep the promise we made. From one man to another.
Wonder what their promise really was. Probably that they'd get out together, alive. Game over. Mondo has been found guilty. Time for punishment. Then you get this like custom animation. Monokuma has a terrible hairdo also. Mondo's hair is now like more red than it was before. Remember, Leon was the only one that had red hair before. And now that was a part of the importance. So then they're doing a circus trick that most circuses don't even exist anymore. So the Cage of Death. It's pretty dangerous. Dangerous trick. There, you gotta be real careful. Not usually have 2 or 3 people in the cage driving. So the cage is getting electrified or turning into a time machine or what? I don't even know. There's some visuals there, but I don't know if that means he's literally been killed by G-forces, and then Monokuma seems to have tired himself out by simply Mondo butter. So he turned him into butter with G-forces. Alright, that is weird. That is really, really weird. Laugh at death and your soul will forever be at peace. It can't be. My brother. Another murder and another execution. I want to feel again. Everyone's lives are taken so lightly here. I feel like I might be going mad. Just now? Maybe I'll just let it happen. Yeah. Did we need 2 screams? As Taco said, screams invaded our skulls. We were each forced to realize once again. But he, of course, had to. What a disappointment. This is the end of the game? Byakuya?
What is this?
You're completely insane, you know that. A game, one of our friends is dead. Do you realize that?
Naturally.
Of course I do. Because it's a game of life or death.
Hey,
I don't have anything to say to you. I don't have a response except that.
however,
I just don't understand why. Why did you go out of your way to disguise Mondo's crime?
What?
Why? Isn't it obvious? Because it made things more interesting. His voice was calm, emotionless, like a voice of death. It chilled me to the bone. So, yeah, the idea of tying up Makoto, not Makoto, but Byakuya at this point is, I think, a valid thought. Maybe had they done that in the first place, it would have made it a lot easier. And now we at least know where there's a bloody extension cord to tie him up to. But, like, yeah, he needs to be completely eliminated from the equation in all future investigations. Otherwise, he is potentially just going to change murder scenes and eventually end up with people voting for the wrong person. Like, last night when the murder took place, I was in the library as usual.
Honestly.
So you ignored the nighttime rule too. The rule never mattered to me. I don't recall agreeing to it.
There is nothing to be done.
Well, I don't particularly care, but please continue. The night grew late, and I decided to return to my room, which is when I stumbled upon him. I spotted Mondo coming out of the girls' locker room. After he'd gone, I looked inside and saw the corpse. You mean you actually witnessed the murder? He was such a fool. He didn't have the slightest idea that I'd seen him.
Well,
So you're saying you knew who the culprit was from the very beginning?
That's right.
Indeed. But if I had been the end of it, how boring would that have been? I mean, what a waste of time to have the answer revealed right at the beginning. Which is why I decided to lend a little helping hand. I thought it would liven things up. You did all that to liven things up?
I see.
So after hearing about Genocide Jack from Toko, you decided to use that to create the fake murder scene. But damn, man, if we hadn't figured out who really had done it, you would have been dead too, right? Well, obviously, I would have revealed the truth before it reached that point. Of course, Byakuya turned and looked me in the eye. I could feel his sharp eyes piercing into me. Thanks to a certain remarkable someone, it never did. And I was able to perform an interesting experiment.
Interesting.
Once I do decide to become the Blackened, I now know who I'll have to watch out for. What?
Correct.
So that was your reason. Are you satisfied?
Indeed.
Yes. We're done listening to your story. Moving on.
Hey,
There's something I'd like to ask Monokuma.
What's this?
Oh, I'm up next? You like to perform these elaborate executions each time, correct? My question is, why? Do you like them? But you know, this punishment, this despair, it's not just for you. All this punishment, all this despair is my gift to mankind itself.
what?
You're over-exaggerating. I am not over-exaggerating. These punishments are meant to transform all hope to despair.
Damn.
What do you mean? 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 Mean. Good grief, I don't understand why you have to pick apart every little stupid thing. Whatever, it doesn't matter. In the end, I'm gonna stand alone as the victor, and then everything will be revealed to me. Oh, the noble son of a noble family, truly you understand me. Phew, I think this is the start of a terrifying friendship.
That's enough.
Shut up. I would never stoop to a level of a childish criminal like you. Let me just say this. After I've achieved complete victory, you're up next. I'm gonna find you and kill you, understand?
In the name of my family.
In the name of the Togami family, for which victory is a foregone conclusion.
You're getting all riled up.
Ooh, so cool. It's like you're the main character of a video game or something. No trash mob for you. I swear, whatever it takes, I will kill you. Pew, timper. Sounds like someone needs a nap. Pew. Come on, just finish the story. Monokuma's laughter peeled across the courtroom and the curtain closed on the case of Chihiro and Mondo. But I knew it wasn't the end. The killing game would still continue, because the mastermind wouldn't let it end. For those of us who were still alive, our worst fear and despair kept multiplying. It was the kind of despair that felt like a blind puppy in hell had more of a future than us. All of our courage, our effort, our friendship, it felt like it amounted to nothing at all. It was the worst kind of despair. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if...
Anyway, like I was saying...
What's this? Is this Monokuma talking to the actual mastermind? Assuming Monokuma isn't the actual mastermind. Yeah, this whole story in the flashbacks kind of does feel like it's almost a allegory to depression itself, and that these murder mysteries are in a way telling like moral stories to be allegories and aren't to be taken as real stories or real events. Anyways, Monokuma says, like I was saying, he's doing a cat's cradle, like with string on his hands, which I don't know how he would be able to do that since he doesn't seem to have fingers.
This is a pretty good spot. Yeah, a really good spot.
So he's telling somebody about a good spot.
Anyway, isn't it amazing how that girl went and killed someone before things even had a chance to get boring?
So he's telling the mastermind how happy he is that the first girl killed somebody. Well, wait a minute. What girl killed someone though? No girl successfully killed someone yet. No, it was Leon that killed the girl. And it was Mondo who killed Chihiro. So no girl has killed anybody as far as we know.
Once things really get moving, it'll be like a roller coaster. There won't be any stopping it.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Is this some kind of flash forward, or are they just going to jump into the next murder immediately and we're not even going to get any kind of free time?
Fear and despair charge forward at a speed nothing can hope to match.
Unless they're making an argument that Genocide Jill killed someone before we even arrived at Hope's Peak Academy, which obviously she did. Or is everyone perhaps at Hope's Peak because of something Genocide Jill did earlier by killing the wrong person?
But I must admit, I'm disappointed.
This is confusing, to say the least.
I went to all the pain and effort of making you part of the group, and you couldn't play your part.
Like, who is he talking to? So apparently the mastermind was supposed to be part of the group, or this isn't the mastermind they're talking to.
You do remember you were supposed to make the first move, right?
So maybe there's a spy working with Monokuma that was supposed to make the first move and didn't.
Well, no biggie. Nothing we can do about it now. So just do your best to make things more exciting from now on, okay? After all, that's what everyone wants to see. ...
There's one thing I'd like to ask you.
As long as you don't want to know my measurements, fire away.
Measurements being like his chest size and waist size and things like that. Who is it? The 16th high school student, I mean. Ah, so there is a 16th high school student instead of 15 we started with. So that extra space was for somebody. Graha.
My. You really took me by surprise there.
So they're definitely teasing something for the next chapter.
I know I said you could ask anything, but... Super denied, ultra denied, demonic denied. Because you see, that's my ace in the hole. And nobody be dumb enough to reveal that, right? No matter how close they were to their friends.
... So we've got hints of... So it was called Boy's Life of Despair, and I guess that makes more sense now. We're now down to 10 people. To be continued. So we now know somebody's a spy. And we know that there was a 16th student. Save here. Just fill out that save thing. Is there really any reason to go any further at this point? I don't think so. We will spend our 89 coins to try to get more things, a better variety of options as far as presents. Going forward, I think what we'll do is we'll try and hang out with Taka, and then Byakuya, and then Hifumi and Yushiro, and we'll just go down this line as much as possible and see if we can get some kind of abilities on the first interaction. If we can't get an ability, at least one more skill on the first reaction, then that'll really suck, but I don't even really know where I want to go otherwise with that. We didn't get a new regulation, surprisingly, about you're not allowed to break your handbook, which I feel like it would have made sense to make a new regulation, even if you weren't going to use it ever again, because that just saves yourself some time, frankly. Anyways, it's been another 2 hours, so we're slowly, very, very slowly making progress through this visual novel, but like most visual novels, they do seem to go on forever. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.